The state Senate is the final judge of its members, even though the state Supreme Court ruled Cain the winner of the election dispute with in-Helm. The Senate was not bound by the High Court decision, but it apparently weighed heavily on the minds of Senate members. The vote was 29-16, and Bernest Cain was no longer confined to the Senate gallery, where he had been forced to sit until the whole election mess was straightened out.
Senator Cain, we welcome you to the state Senate, and your seat is the last one in the rear.
Mainly because the Democrat President pro tem of the Senate, Gene Howard, got a new election under circumstances identical to mine. And I think what's been proven is that there are different rules in Oklahoma for Republicans and Democrats.
What we're really dealing with, and what you're really being asked to do, or perhaps that is the effect of it, is making a moral judgment as to what is or is not obscene. And you're supposed to do that, ladies and gentlemen, not on your personal belief of whether or not this material is obscene, but you're supposed to, by magic, to understand what the community standard is.
The conclusion you're going to come to is, if this isn't obscene, nothing is obscene.
Or non-consenting adult. Also, the laws of the state of Oklahoma
See how easy it is to protect yourself against flu? A lot of people think flu is just a bad cold, few aches and pains. Well, they're wrong. Influenza is serious business. During major flu epidemics, millions of people are sick and thousands die. Well, this year you can get protection. The vaccines are safe, easy to take, and they can protect you against flu. So roll up your sleeve. Protect yourself.
And at the time, our president was saying, you know, that everybody should have the swine flu shots. You know, he was backing this on his campaign, I think, whatever. And so I kind of felt obligated to take the shot. there were long periods where it was, you know, kind of stalemated, and I thought, oh my gosh, when am I going to go from this stage to the next stage and seeing all the normal people walking around, you know, the doctors and nurses in the hospital all the time, and I thought, you know, when am I going to get back to normal like them and have a regular day, you know, schedule, seeing them just walking around and, you know, doing everything that everybody does.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. And that's on this. Up on the
Before I had this shot, I was running several times a week, and I belonged to Runs Club. We'd probably all together run 5 miles 3 times a week at least, and then on the weekends I was in karate, and I had a handicap of 6, golf. Of course, that's all gone.
You still holding down 2 jobs?
Oh yeah. Well, Norma runs about, that's Tuesdays and Fridays.
Because no matter who's the governor of the state of Oklahoma, the likelihood is that they'll have a spouse.
Idea good? Yes. If the governor wants to take his spouse with him, feels it would be beneficial, then I'm going to vote aye. That's wonderful. That's fine to do that. But I do not wish to issue a carte blanche to anyone on this, and I don't think it's the mood of the people.
Into the area.
Booth said a while ago that this lady could go get her laundry.
It's all right for her to go.
But to park the car right here and not go any further.
Right, you'll have no more vehicles past this point right here. You have to walk.
Someone need to go with her? Yeah.
Can you carry it?
Well, I'm going with her, but
Mrs. Stone here. Mrs. Stone.
Does she want it all?
I guess so. She didn't say nothing. Heck no. You ready? It's 2 weeks off.
Somebody still on the telephone wanting me?
Yeah.
There was somebody that got in there with a flashlight and helping people out out of the other side.
There was a man in the back of the bus?
Yeah, back about 2/3 of the way back or a little farther, helping people out off of the outside over there, trying to help get everybody out. It's all we could find out.
The man's belt buckle. You find any bill for or anything? No bill for. No. See his. Well, I believe. Probably.
Up.
Several state agencies that are involved with pollution control feel that this resolution could be harmful to plant and animal life, water supplies, and state highways and streets.
Somewhere between our great concern for our wildlife, which is legitimate, there must also be a concern for the citizens of our state. You know, if we can save 100 lives without increasing the pollution level, then I think we ought to look at anything that'll do it.
And I think it's only proper that Jim Thorpe be buried in Oklahoma. And Oklahoma loves him. He's a hero. He's in the classification of Will Rogers and the rest of our heroes. And I thought he was buried in Oklahoma. And I'm very distressed that this person of such a great hero would be buried in another state where he deserves to be buried in Oklahoma.
Is that they're charging a premium rate based simply upon sex or simply upon age without any change in the driving habits, driving patterns, or even the skill of the driver. I give you an illustration. Let's presume that some young married lady with a perfect driving record loses her husband. She, as a widow, becomes a single person and her rate increases. Now, there's no justification for that. She isn't any different driver than she was, and I don't think it's fair.
To prohibit demonstrations by non-Americans that are detrimental and that they're anti-governmental, that are held on public properties and properties paid for by Americans.
But I'm not so certain that we can pass a bill which will not tread upon the constitutional rights of visitors to Oklahoma as well as citizens of Oklahoma.
I'm not so sure in America that we want to have a climate where people can't come to America and protest tyrannical government, wherever it might exist, you know.
I got a fire in here. Can you get it out in here?
It's right in there in the hall. Here.
Get in the hall.
Here. It's right in there. Here. Let me get in. I'll point
No,
it to
you
it.
stay out. Go on around there where you belong. There's another one in there?
Yeah, my fancy shepherd. It's a great big shepherd. She's fixing to have puppies.
Okay, go to the left side and get the woman's clothes, please.
Hey. Oh, I'll never get them. Okay. There's a coat in there. I'd like to have a fur coat.
What's the matter with you? Here, ma'am. Here, ma'am.
Okay.
What else?
Anything.
There.
That's not important. Get out. Get out.
We can't get that.
Come on, get out. Get out. Get out.
I got a fire in here. Can you get it out in here?
It's right in there in the hall. Here.
Get in the hall.
Here. It's right in there. Here. Let me get in. I'll point
No,
it to
you
it.
stay out. Go on around there where you belong. There's another one in there?
Yeah, my fancy shepherd. It's a great big shepherd. She's fixing to have puppies. Okay. There's a coat in there. I'd like to have a fur coat.
There.
That's not important. Get out. Get out.
We can't get that.
Come on, get out.
My position is that the child will acquire signs from her. In other words, he's an active organism that will grab the most salient or important information in his environment that he can produce, namely sign language. Chimps use gestures in the wild. So he'll be the one acquiring it from her.
We have news that, General Heiser is still there. 2,000 new military advisor has been sent down there at the time that U.S. Sort of claiming that they have pulled out all the dependents. And besides that, more than that, 60 new CIA top official members have been sent down there to Iran. And so something is in the making. The main reason behind that is that, all political alternatives have failed, and they have no other choice rather than, staging this coup. And this is going to be a direct, coup by the U.S. government. This is
We sorrow at the loss, but we have a hope. We know that we will see Francisco again. Christians never say goodbye for the last time. This is joy. This is a joy that comes. That night I was kind of daydreaming and I wasn't really thinking about what was happening. See who it was, and there was a grinning. It might be good if we gave him a hand for the great music that did Jesus. Thank Oklahoma City. And we pray they come up. It might be good if we gave them a hand for the great music that they've given us thus far.
Up breach, you can go back to the court and that same judge that we're going to let, and then you go out and shack up.
They get the divorce. The court decrees, or there is mutual agreement between the parties as to what the alimony shall be. The man continues his relationship with the woman that he was with prior to marriage, but not the wife. If she does anything, schwap, cut her off. Now, come on, gentlemen, for a half a House of Representatives that's gung-ho for the Equal Rights Amendment, hey, look at yourselves.
You talk about protecting the American home and the American family. If you vote no on this bill, what you're in fact doing is encouraging shacking up. Now that's just exactly what this says, because you can shack up and stay on the payroll and stay on the gravy train. Now, Mr. Monks, that's un-American, isn't it?
Right now, it's a possibility until we know how they want them. We have had serious reservations and talked to several legislators about not being able to look at up-to-date statistics and using rating organizations because they are 2 years old. We've talked to the Senate and members of the House about this, and even goes even further about some companies being unregulated by the Insurance Commissioner's Office, which gives us great concern. It's hard to say what direction the committee is going. They're looking at everything right now, and then they'll probably scope in on certain things.
Interpretation based upon recurring cycles. Its underlying foundation is the 25 as the primary. In terms of his own personal system, Robarts, that figure, the wind among the reeds, the figure that we identify with creates describe itself, represents the antithetical. Her was well along in years by the time. The correspondent to Earthona Los as a compound poems next time. Comparable to the cubes in the drawing of Winter Lewis, or to the ovoids in the sculpture of Brand Cooper. They have helped me to hold in a single thought.
Well, it must be worthwhile after all this time, yes, and getting this far. The first couple of years, and I tried to run, it's when it was the hardest, yes. That's when I wanted to drop out the most, and especially the semester at the dorm. Where I thought that would be the answer to the social life problem, and nothing changed. I took the machine to the lounge or things like that, and nobody would use it, and nobody ever tried to get back to me. I was always going out of my way just that I might have more friends, nothing worked. So many kids. Right. I can't think of the name, but you record around all the songs being it. And right. I thought that's the ah!
I, Norma Eagleton,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and will not knowingly
and I will not knowingly
receive directly or
of any act or duty
pertaining to my office
pertaining to my office
The basic problem I think we have with school board elections being held in January is that, first of all, you have school board candidates having to campaign over the Christmas holidays and people coming out of the Christmas holidays to the school board election are not in the mood to vote and historically have not voted very much. The second problem with that is that in January you have a greater likelihood of bad weather, which was the case this year. And so the school board elections usually have a very, very low turnout. So we have changed the date to April. I think that that will help solve both of those problems.
With the increasing incidence of arson in the state of Oklahoma and across the nation, that it's time that we in the legislature and the people of the state of Oklahoma declared war on the arsonist. It is the most insidious crime, the most evil crime, the most vicious crime. And one of the things that is being done by this bill is to say that we will step up the penalty.
First of all, you have school board candidates having to campaign over the Christmas holidays, and people coming out of the Christmas holidays to the school board election are not in the mood to vote and historically have not voted very much. The second problem with that is that in January you have a greater likelihood of bad weather, which was the case this year. And so the school board elections usually have a very, very low turnout. So we have changed the date to April. I think that that will help solve both of those problems.
We've seen a lot of our members here stricken down with heart attacks. I believe that the smoke that they endured here to serve in their constituency was a large contributing factor to their health hazards that they experienced and their ill health that ultimately fell them.
You're fixing to get yourselves beat. Neil McCaleb's over there just grinning like a
offended by smoking and feel like that they do not want to be around. Of abolishing the committee of the whole, to vote against this amendment, and let's get on with the main issue.
Represents a 25-year-old gravid of 3, pair of 2.
How long a residency program was that?
No, I'm not aware of the number of babies that he's delivered. The current evidence says that they...
And recertification or lack thereof. I think perhaps I covered the profession.
All of these patients survived. To my knowledge, all of these infants survived. But in my opinion, it does not mean that mayhem or near death did not occur in some of them. And I think this is what's reflected from these records, as I read it, is simply a lack of grasp of the seriousness of the situation. Those of you who don't do OB...
or feeling that...
Very true in obstetrics. It's
There's been very little discussion about the corporate tax rate in Oklahoma, but they have been receiving a very favorable tax rate. The current rate on income taxes for corporate entities in Oklahoma is 4%, which is the same rate that a wage earner or an individual in the $10,000 to $12,500 tax bracket pays.
The basic differences between our proposal, which is the full restoration of the federal income tax, is that we don't have any tax increases that go hand in hand with ours. I've heard the Democrats say that they're for this tax cut, but they're also for new increased taxes on a sin tax, a surtax, and now a corporate tax. The basic philosophical difference is our petition provides for a net tax cut and no increases.
I don't think it'd be fair to make a judgment on the total capabilities of an individual on 9 selected cases. And having heard the testimony as well as reviewed the cases, I found that the charts were markedly deficient in many areas.
All right, now let me interrupt you there. You say these charts are markedly deficient. Deficient by whom?
Deficient by the hospital notations and the completeness relative both chronologically and substantively to the topics mentioned.
You mean the portions of the chart which are the responsibility of hospital personnel are, in your opinion, deficient?
Yes.
The only basis for opinions given at this hearing, with the very possible exception of Dr. Atkins.
Video call that a Tulsa County police officer had been shot brought city and county police units from all parts of Tulsa to the usually quiet residential neighborhood on North Lansing. Ollie Cooper, the suspect, had been spotted by 2 Tulsa County deputies who were in the neighborhood on another assignment. The officers tried to arrest Cooper, who pulled a gun on them and fired 3 shots. The 2 officers called for backup support. 3 of them then approached the residence where Norma Clay lived. 1 shot was fired through the front door, wounding a Tulsa County police officer. That began one of the coldest and most unusual hostage situations in recent Tulsa history.
56-year-old Ollie Cooper was finally in police custody shortly before 6 this evening.
You want to talk to us? No. No? Okay. Let's go.
Thank you. As he surrendered, he was surrounded by a Tulsa minister who accompanied him to his jail cell along with Norma Clay, a relative that he had held hostage throughout the day. All through the tense, cold negotiations this afternoon, Cooper continually stated that he feared for his life. He feared that fellow officers of the man he gunned down would kill him. But on his way to jail this evening, he was being protected by some of those police officers who had calmly and patiently talked him into surrendering.
This had the football on there, the last football that Tommy McDonald touched in his collegiate football years at the OSU-OU ball game, and that was in 1953. And as Tommy went over the goal line, the whistle blew, and Tommy gave me that football in 1956, and the score was OU 53, OSU nothing, and I was real proud of the football, and there's no way that I can replace anything like that.
Other players have given you pictures and Golden Globes. What were those? Did those have any?
Go ahead. I was really proud of this. Life magazine, when we played Nebraska, things like this with Sports Illustrated magazine, that's irreplaceable, where they have the picture of the car, the little car on the front cover. There's no way you can replace anything like that. Also, here's the state of Oklahoma and certified registration trademark for the little car that they gave me. Right.
Can you replace that?
There's no way that that can be replaced.
It sometimes seems as if the whole outdoors is a frozen wasteland. Places that hold the shouts and laughter of summer are silent. But there are ways to beat the cold and achieve some good old-fashioned cardiovascular development at the same time.
I'd rather be doing that than staying home cleaning the house. So it's just great being able to come out here inside and play tennis.
Haven't been out in about 5 months. Want to play some tennis. It's good exercise in the wintertime.
Any person under the age of 40 and otherwise good health can exercise without seeing a physician, but we do recommend that any person 40 or above, regardless of how they feel they are related to their health, should see their personal physician before beginning any exercise program.
Even basketball at the Y is a fine form of exercise. In fact, nearly any athletic game is good exercise. The competition combines running and calisthenics without the boredom. Working out and getting in shape doesn't have to be dull. But still, there are a few who feel compelled to challenge the elements, as well as their own sanity.
I do not wish to live as a shell with a dead brain, supported by artificial means. And I've made this known to my family and to my physician.
Also, the thing that disturbs me is that it's long been believed that one of the last senses to leave the body is hearing. Patients who are unconscious or appear to be might still be able to hear. I think it would be terrible to be in this position and hear people around you talking about taking the plug off and allowing you to die.
Well, I think that this bill, if it passes and finally becomes law, will assure Oklahoma consumers that their corporation commission will be in a position to provide the best expertise available to represent the people of the state of Oklahoma in a rate increase hearing. And I think that's a good portion of the problem that we face as ratepayers today, is because we're concerned that we're not being properly represented as the utilities come before the Corporation Commission.
This bill would create an attorney's dream. Anytime you automatically guarantee that a certain portion of anybody's costs, or perhaps the whole portion, is going to be picked up by whoever you're going to intervene with, it stands to reason that people are, number one, more apt to intervene, and secondly, would be a little bit more lavish with the costs that they lay out.
The state came to Denver 2 years ago to appeal an order to reduce prison overcrowding. They lost that appeal. Now they're back, but this time they're saying that even if this order is justified, Judge Bohannon doesn't have the power to enforce it. The three-judge panel heard arguments that Bohannon overstepped his authority when he put a July 1st deadline on appropriations for improvements at the prisons in McAllister and Granite. Assistant Attorney General John Fisher said the 11th Amendment prohibits a judge from ordering appropriations. But Circuit Judge Monroe McKay discounted that argument, saying Bohannon's intent was to set a deadline for action, not to order approval of funds. Fisher then argued that the order says the cell houses could be closed if the deadline is not met, but it doesn't say what to do with the prisoners. He said if officials on their own relocate prisoners to crowded facilities, they could be subject to legal action. But the attorney for the American Civil Liberties Union, Lou Bullock, said legal action could be avoided because Bohannon is open to changes in the cell house order. Later, both sides appeared satisfied.
I think that we raised some serious questions which had not been considered by the district court, or the effect of the district court's order.
What Mr. Fisher was arguing, I thought, was that somehow Ned Benton's personal fortunes would ride on whether or not the state was in compliance with the July deadline, and I don't think that that's ever been a serious question in this lawsuit.
A decision by the 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals is expected within 30 days. Until then, the strength of the state's arguments here today are still very much up in the air. In Denver, Bruce Creeksey, News Center 4.
Are you gonna open it up, man? Not for right now.
But I do want to urge this council not to close this business. It's a genuine business under our laws, and I think we'll be setting a dangerous precedent if you're to do so.
Pay for the storm sewer that's going to be installed.
Valentine for Jace Bradley. AJ?
Yes?
A happy Valentine from Cindy.
Oh, thank you.
You made me love you. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. You made me love you. And all the time you knew it. You know you always knew it. I sent this Valentine with feeling. I hope this song and dance for you will be revealing how much I love you. Honey, how I love you. You know I really love you. You know I love you. I do. Oh, yes, I do. Indeed, I do. You know I do. Gimme, 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 gimme what I'd die for. Give me all the love and honey that I cry for. You know you made me love you.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I think the experience we were having now in Iran is one that we should take very seriously, because it could happen in other countries, especially in Saudi Arabia. And if that did happen, the impact on the United States would be extremely serious.
With the instructions that we had in this case, the jury was forced to bring back a conviction. There's nothing else they could have brought back other than a conviction. With the instructions that we received, we intend to appeal not only that area of it, but other areas which we feel there are probably 4 major errors in this case, all requiring reversal. We'll ask it to be reversed and dismissed, even though she only received a fine.
I think that we have a clear indication now of what the average person feels are the standards for this community.
Is this a message to anybody who wants to open an adult bookstore?
Yes, it is.